In a cheap hotel room in Washington, D.C., three men stare at an object wrapped in a piece of black velvet. Their leader, a tall, gray-haired man carrying a cane, is impatient. A short, wiry little man with darting eyes unwraps the object. Behind him, a huge, hulking, ball-headed brute stands watching.
Hurry, Albert, I can't wait to feast my eyes upon it.
I'm unwrapping it as fast as I can, Mr. Morbus.
At last, the Mask of Tamburo. Oh, magnificent.
Pretty.
Yes, Joseph, very pretty. A golden mask encrusted with precious jewels.
Them jewels will bring a fortune after we've melted her down.
Melted it down? Albert, you idiot. The Mask of Tamburo is one of the world's great art treasures. The gold and gems of which it's made are the least valuable elements. The workmanship and artistry are priceless. Of course we won't melt it down.
Oh, then why did we steal it, Mr. Morbus?
We were hired to steal it by a foreign power, my dear Albert.
I don't understand.
The mask is here as part of the exhibit of art from the emerging African nations. Its theft here in Washington will make America look very bad indeed. But that's not all.
What do you mean, Mr. Morbus?
I intend to keep the mask and hold it for ransom by the highest bidder.
Ain't that a bit chancy with all them foreign blokes around?
I think not. They wouldn't dare to expose me or try to get the mask from me by force. Too risky. Besides, we have Joseph guarding the mask.
Joseph guard mask.
Yes, Joseph guard mask.
Still, them foreign blokes...
Do you remember what Joseph did to those guards at the museum?
Oh, I'd rather not. That big oak gives me the shivers.
As indeed he should. Come, gentlemen. We'll retire to my estate to await developments.
Meanwhile, news of the theft of the Mask of Tamburo has reached Oscar Goldman. He sits examining a sheaf of files on his desk.
Come in. Oh, Jamie, I'm glad to see you.
Can I guess? Is it the Mask of Tamburo?
You're right. How did you know?
It's all over the newspapers.
Jamie, you've got to find it and return it to its rightful owners.
What have we got?
According to our records, only 4 men in the world could have planned and executed the theft of the mask. One is safely in prison, and 2 others are definitely out of the country.
Who does that leave?
Frederick Morbus.
Morbus?
Uh-huh.
But isn't he a famous art dealer?
Yes, and the cleverest jewel thief in North America. Too clever to have ever been caught.
Sounds like a tough customer. How do we get to him?
Fortunately, Morbus has a weak spot. You see, he's a firm believer in psychic phenomena.
You mean spirits and mediums and all that stuff?
Exactly. Morbus was very attached to his younger brother, who was killed in an auto accident a few years ago. He spent a fortune trying to reach his dead brother through various mediums.
And I'm going to be a new medium who'll help him reach his brother's spirit.
Right. There's a seance set for tonight. I've arranged for you to take the place of Jane Reynolds, the medium scheduled for the evening.
So tonight I'm Jane Reynolds. I hope the spirits don't tell on me.
That evening, the Bionic woman pulled up before the door of Frederick Morbus' large, luxurious house.
Yes, miss?
I'm Jane Reynolds. I'm here to sit for Mr. Morbus.
Come in, my dear. I've been expecting you. The others are due to arrive soon. Won't you come here into the library?
Thank you.
Won't you sit down, Miss Reynolds?
Might I have a word with you, sir, out in the foyer?
Excuse me.
Sending her bionic hearing out into the foyer, Jamie heard Morbus and Albert speaking.
Well, what is it? Mr. Morbus, sir. Shouldn't we move the mask, what with all them people coming for the seance?
Don't be preposterous. No one will be anywhere near the wall safe in my bedroom. The Mask of Tamburo is perfectly safe where it is. Don't forget Joseph.
So that's where he's got the mask. The wall safe in his bedroom. Somehow I've got to get in there.
Forgive me, Miss Reynolds. Just an unimportant domestic detail.
Mr. Morbus, I wonder if I might lie down and rest before your guests arrive. Sittings are so exhausting. I want to save my strength for our seance tonight.
Certainly. I'll have Albert show you to one of the guest rooms.
Following Albert upstairs, the Bionic Woman found herself in a beautiful guest room.
Now what? I don't even know which room is Morbus's bedroom, and I just can't wander around. I'd be caught. Wait a minute.
Opening out her bionic hearing, Jamie heard a familiar sound.
An alarm system, just like the one in Oscar's office. It must be coming from the wall safe in Morbus's bedroom.
Homing in on the alarm system, the Bionic Woman turned the doorknob to Morbus' bedroom.
Joseph, guard Mask!
Suddenly, before she could turn her head, Jamie was knocked senseless by a heavy blow. When she came to, the Bionic Woman's hands and feet were bound.
You must be losing your touch, Joseph. The lady's conscious already. Check her ropes.
They're nice and snug, Mr. Morbus.
So, Miss Reynolds, if that is your name, you weren't psychic enough to know that Joseph was guarding my safe, were you?
Maybe not, but I know the Mask of Tamburo is inside it.
We'll just check that out, shall we?
Morbus disconnected the alarm system and opened the safe. He took the mask from its black velvet wrappings.
Take a good look, Miss Reynolds. It will be the last thing you will ever see. Kill her, Joseph!
Kill.
In that instant, the Bionic Woman snapped the heavy ropes that held her. She turned on the murderous Joseph, lifted him high in the air, and...
Go! She threw him across the room. The big gulk is out cold. Let's get out of here.
It's no use, Albert. We'd never escape her, whatever she is. I regret to say the game is over, my dear fellow.
Not quite, Mr. Morbus. As I look into my crystal ball, I see a cozy little room reserved just for you, with bars on the window.
In his throne room, the ruler of Arak, a small kingdom in the Sahara Desert, angrily faces a foreign visitor.
I have spoken, Ambassador Cole. America will no longer rob us of our precious calamite.
Your Majesty, only 6 months ago you signed an agreement to sell your entire production of calamite to the United States. I don't understand.
Enough! I will not sell calamite to your warlike nation to help you bring about an atomic war. It goes instead to defend the peace-loving countries of Eastern Europe from your mad aggression.
But King Gamal...
This audience is at an end. Go!
Back in America, Oscar Goldman sits in his office listening to an important visitor.
Mr. Goldman, all the way back from Arak, I've been trying to understand King Gamal's actions.
Then he had no reason you know of for breaking the agreement, Ambassador Cole.
None whatever. It's almost as if he... Well, I know this sounds strange. As if he were another man altogether.
Another man?
Yes. I've known King Gamal for years. He would never break his word. Besides, the discussions about relations between our two countries were always private and friendly. Then, suddenly, I'm summoned to the throne room and treated like a stranger.
You're right, Ambassador Cole. Something is very wrong. We'll get on it right away.
As soon as Ambassador Cole left his office, Goldman sent for Jamie Summers, the Bionic Woman.
Then you think a double has taken the king's place?
I'm not sure, Jamie, but it could be. In any case, we've got to find out what happened. That calamite is vitally important.
Calamite? What's calamite, Oscar?
Calamite is a rare ore, 20 times richer in uranium than the richest pitch blende.
Uranium?
Uh-huh.
That's what's used to fuel atomic power plants, isn't it?
Yes, and build atomic and hydrogen bombs. Arak is the only place in the world where calamite's been found. Whichever side has Arak's calamite has an important advantage in peace or war.
You can say that again. What's the plan?
Well, both of us are returning to Arak with Ambassador Cole. You're to be his new secretary. I'm going as his new assistant. There's going to be a big celebration for the king's birthday.
And Ambassador Cole will be there.
With his new secretary and his new assistant. That birthday party will give us a lead to what happened. I'm certain of it. Get ready. We take off in an hour.
During the flight back to Arak, Ambassador Cole, Oscar Goldman, and the Bionic Woman spent the entire time talking about King Gamal's sudden change of heart. At that same time, in the dark dungeons under the royal palace of Arak, a strange scene was taking place.
Who's there? Answer me. I command you.
You can no longer command anyone, my brother.
So, it's you, Ahmad. I might have known. But when the people find out what you've done, they will...
People will never find out, my brother. If the light in here were bright enough, Your Majesty, you would see that my face is now an exact copy of your own.
Plastic surgery?
Yes, plastic surgery. There was really very little to be done. After all, I am your younger brother. Our faces were alike to start with.
But you could never fool my Grand Vizier Mustafa.
He doesn't have to fool me, Your Majesty.
Mustafa? Then you are a part of this plot too, but why?
Wealth, Your Majesty. A certain great power has offered to buy Arak's calamite at 3 times the price you accepted from America.
That nation made me the same offer, but I refused. They would use our calamite to make war.
What they do with the calamite is of no interest to us.
We're here, my brother, because we need your signature on the new agreement.
So that's why you kept me alive. I wonder.
Ahmad has not learned to forge your signature yet, and our new friends are impatient. They want that agreement signed in time for your birthday celebration.
I'll never sign it.
Oh, I think you will, Your Majesty. We have our own little methods of persuasion.
Sign, and you will be given a quick and painless death. Refuse, and you will be tortured endlessly until you finally do sign. The choice is yours, my brother.
We leave you now to consider your decision. Goodbye, Your Majesty.
A few days later, Ambassador Cole, Jamie, and Oscar Goldman stand talking together in the grand ballroom of the palace. The celebration of the king's birthday is underway, and the ballroom is filled with guests. Goldman speaks.
What do you think, Ambassador?
Well, he looks and sounds like the king, but...
But you don't believe it is the king, right?
Right, Miss Summers. What's even more puzzling, Mustafa, the Grand Vizier, doesn't seem to notice the change.
Jamie, look. The king and his Grand Vizier are going off together into that anteroom.
I see, Oscar. Leave it to me.
Focusing her bionic hearing on the anteroom, Jamie hears the two men arguing.
I tell you, there's no other way. The king refuses to sign. We must use sterner measures. No, Mustafa. He is still my brother. I cannot stand by and see him tortured, no matter what you say. Weakling. You have no other choice. If you don't go through with it, I'll expose you as an impostor myself. You'll be executed, and I'll be the hero who trapped the traitor Ahmad. Now, shall we go to the dungeons and wish the king happy birthday?
Oscar, Ambassador Cole is right. That's not the king. It's his younger brother. He and Mustafa are going down to the dungeon to force the king to sign a calamite agreement with the other side.
And you've got to stop them, Jamie. You've got to free the king.
Tracking Mustafa and Ahmad with her bionic hearing, Jamie slipped away from the crowded ballroom. She followed the two men through the winding corridors, down, far below the palace and into the old, unused dungeons. The Bionic Woman turned a corner and ran right into 2 armed guards.
Halt or be fired!
No time for this nonsense.
Jumping high into the air, the bionic woman landed hard on the two guards, knocking them senseless.
Got to hurry.
Leaping forward bionically, Jamie found herself at the dungeon door.
Your Majesty, this is your last chance. Sign this agreement, or we must begin with this white-hot poker.
Who is there?
What is that?
What is at the door?
Pulling a gun from his flowing robes, Mustafa turned on Jamie.
Stay where you are, or I'll shoot.
Before he could fire, Jamie had rushed forward and crushed the barrel of his gun with her bionic hand.
Come on, let us get out of here.
I'll get them later, Your Majesty. Now let's get these chains off.
Who and what are you? Some kind of genie? How can I ever thank you?
My name is Jamie Summers, but don't thank me, Your Majesty. Thank Ambassador Cole. He was the one who realized that something was wrong.
My good friend, Mr. Cole.
Let's go, Your Majesty. There's a birthday party going on upstairs, and you're the guest of honor.
As our story opens, Jamie Summers, the bionic woman, sits listening in the office of her superior, Oscar Goldman. Goldman speaks.
Jamie, we have reason to believe that John Crawford is a traitor.
John Crawford? Of Crawford Industries? Mm-hmm. But he's always been a loyal American. Why should he be a traitor?
We don't know, Jamie, but we do know that Crawford Industries has been secretly developing a disruptor that can stop jet planes in flight.
That's incredible.
Not really. Crawford is an electronic genius. He could design such a device if anyone could. Our information is that an unfriendly nation is negotiating to buy the disruptor.
Where do I come in?
Your mission is to stop that sale. Do whatever you have to. Steal the plans, wreck the working model if need be, but stop that sale.
Security at Crawford Industries is sure to be pretty tight. How do I get in?
Through the front door. You're to pose as Jamie Wilson, a reporter for Trend magazine. You're to pretend you're doing a story on Crawford for their special science issue.
Great. When do I leave?
Meanwhile, at Crawford Industries, two men are walking together into the office of Mark Taggart, the company's vice president.
Taggart, you're certain your office is safe, that it's not bugged?
Don't worry, Mr. Peters. Crawford himself made all the executive offices bug-proof with one of his inventions. Any listening device operating in any of the offices sets off a buzzer hidden in the room. You can speak freely.
Good. My country is prepared to pay you $1 million as agreed, as soon as the plans and the working model of the disruptor are turned over to me. When will you deliver?
As soon as Crawford is out of the way.
What do you mean, Taggart?
Crawford has to be eliminated. Before long, he'd find out what's happening.
What are you going to do?
Tomorrow morning, Crawford flies to Washington on business. His jet plane will have an unfortunate accident.
You're going to test the disruptor on its inventor. Very amusing.
No, Peters. This is no test. It's simple murder. The disruptor works. There's no doubt of that.
Perhaps. But before I turn over the money, I want to see the disruptor in action.
Of course. We'll go to the testing lab and you can see for yourself.
As Taggart and Peters made their way to the testing lab, the bionic woman sat in the office of John Crawford, head of Crawford Industries.
That's about it, Mr. Crawford. Just one more question.
Why, certainly, Miss Wilson. Ask away.
Are you working on anything new?
Well, of course, we're always working on new developments.
I meant something specific.
I I can tell you this. Crawford Industries has been working on a new device that we believe will be very important to our national defense.
What is this new invention?
I'm not at liberty to say. But in Washington tomorrow, I'll be discussing it with the proper people. That's all I can tell you.
Thanks for giving me so much of your time, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you for coming. And goodbye, Miss Wilson.
Goodbye, Mr. Crawford.
Turning the corner, the bionic woman ducked into an empty office and hurriedly placed a telephone call.
Oscar, I don't think Crawford's our man.
Why not?
He told me about a secret device he intends to give to the government. I'm sure he means the disruptor.
Then someone else at Crawford Industries could be the traitor. Look, stay with it, Jamie, but be careful.
Right, Oscar.
Tuning in with her bionic hearing, Jamie picked up something strange.
What's that? It's coming from that long hallway.
Jamie's way was blocked by a large steel door. Then suddenly...
Amazing. The disruptor stopped the jet engine just like someone turning off a water tap.
So now you believe me, Peters.
When will you deliver the plans and this working model?
Tomorrow, right after Crawford's jet crashes.
Crashes?
Then I'll be president of Crawford Industries. No one will dare ask any questions.
I've got to warn Mr. Crawford. And that's the whole story, Mr. Crawford.
You must be out of your mind, young lady. I've known Mark Taggart for 20 years. He'd never do anything like that.
Please, you've got to believe me.
And that nonsense about hearing it all through a 6-inch thick steel door. I don't know what your game is, but I'm not having any.
Back at Oscar Golden's office.
It's no use, Oscar. I don't know what to do. They're going to kill Mr. Crawford and everyone else on that plane.
There's just one chance. Jamie, you've got to get back into Crawford Industries and wreck the disruptor.
You're right, Oscar. It won't be easy, but it's the only way.
Carefully avoiding the guards and security alarms, the bionic woman was soon back at the steel door leading to the testing lab.
What luck! It's open.
Put your hands up and don't move a muscle. This gun I'm holding is no toy.
Taggart!
She knows you.
And I know you too, Peters.
What else do you know, pretty lady?
I know you're planning to kill Mr. Crawford by using the disruptor on his plane tomorrow. I tried to warn him, but he wouldn't believe me.
What are we going to do, Taggart?
Stay cool, Peters. Tie her up with this wire. Crawford is still at his desk working. I'll get him and bring him here. Then there's going to be a little accident. This disruptor is going to overheat and there'll be an explosion.
But you've got to give us the working model, Taggart, or it's no deal.
Easy, Peters. We'll take the disruptor with us. What will really explode will be that drum of jet fuel. There won't be enough left of the lab for anyone to figure out what happened.
I see. So we'll get the disruptor.
And I get $1 million and Crawford Industries.
In short order, John Crawford lay next to Jamie, bound hand and foot with tough strands of wire.
You were right, young woman. I should have listened.
Too late, John. Peters and I are leaving, but before we go, I'm going to set this pile of rags afire. When the heat gets to the jet fuel, well, that'll be the end. Goodbye, John. Goodbye, lovely lady.
No time to worry about giving away the game. I've got to get us out of here, and fast. Now I'm loose. Up you go, Mr. Crawford!
What's going on here?
No time to explain.
In one bionic leap, with a startled Crawford on the one arm, the bionic woman covered the 50-foot distance to the door.
They've locked it.
Oh, then we're finished.
Not quite.
With another bionic leap, Jamie covered the full length of the narrow hallway leading to the testing lab. Then...
So Taggart and Peters were caught by Mr. Crawford's security men and turned over to the police.
And Crawford?
He's on his way to Washington with the disruptor.
Hey, I call that a very successful mission.
Great. Then you buy the lunch.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, I haven't got